Hi everyone. I'm still not sure if I've got all the bugs worked out, but it says that I'm streaming, so I'm just going to go with it. If any of you have tips about live streaming, either from the webcam or from a third party software provider, I'm using OBS, Open Broadcast Software, but I haven't really got it to work yet. So email me anytime, but especially with tech tips. It's Golden Section, GLDNSCTN 13. That's Golden Section 13 at gmail.com. So to get started with, let's just close our eyes for a moment just to shift focus. Because a whole lot of our brain power goes toward visual processing, closing our eyes, if only just for a moment, is a big shift towards choosing our focus, choosing what we put our attention on at any moment. And in particular, for the next half an hour or 45 minutes, I'd like for us to return our attention to our sense of touch. Whenever it feels comfortable to you, go ahead and close your eyes and attach your focus, attach your ability to point your perception on something physical. And we'll be moving and bending and creating lots of new sensation. But even when we're in our normal state, using our attention to connect to something that we feel, something physical, is a very powerful tool towards taking us out of our imagination. When we're using our imagination and using our brain power creatively and positively, it's a wonderful thing. But sometimes I get stuck in unhealthy and unproductive mental states. And we're going to do a lot of things today that break that up. We're going to relieve muscular tension, which makes our subjective life, our inner experience, also less tense, have less anxiety, be more peaceful and joyous and spontaneous. That's our big goal, to literally improve our life, ironically free, irony free, better life, more peace, capital J, joy. These are real tools. There's nothing unattainable or esoteric about it. That's why I feel 100% confident in putting these tools before you. If you practice them, they will work. This is not theoretical knowledge. It will not do us any good just to think these things or know these things. These are things that we do, things that take place in time, things that require effort and movement and attention and will. But if we'll take time to do it, these are very powerful tools that will improve our life in the moment, today, this hour. Okay, so what we're going to focus on first, once our eyes are closed, is feel the attachment to the ground. Feel where you're being supported, feel where your body makes contact with another surface, the floor or your mat. And then notice your skin. Bring your attention to the outside of the body and notice if you can feel differences in temperature, the flow of air, breezes across the skin. Pay attention to your skin for a moment. And then see if there's anything you can do to sit with less effort. Imagine your skeleton. Your bones are holding you up right here. Allow that to happen. We'll think of our muscles as pilots. Our muscles put our bones into place, and when we're still, the muscles can rest and let our shape, our structure hold us upright. One way to remember that is that bones are for being, and muscles are for doing. So when we are still, as much as possible, we release muscular effort. Anything we find control over, just let it go. Think of relaxing the muscle as an analogy to lengthening it. All muscles get shorter when they switch on. So when we relax a muscle or turn it off, it gets longer. So let all the muscles lengthen. Okay? Now I'd like to introduce a breathing technique. Some yoga teachers will introduce this way of breathing at the beginning of class with the expectation that you breathe this way the whole time. It's not a requirement, but it will help us to slow down and to focus, and it evens the inhale and exhale and also slows both halves of the breath down. We'll come back to it later for our meditation, but as a quick introduction, this is Ujjayi. That's a Sanskrit word, Ujjayi, and it translates into victorious breathing or victorious breath. I learned it and I still think of it as Darth Vader breath because it makes a sound like Lord Vader and we can feel the breath in the throat here. So basically we're closing the glottis down low in the throat. We're closing it just a little bit so that we can feel the air move past this point and we can hear it. So try it with the mouth open at first. When you breathe, it sounds like this. So a little closure in the glottis. It's the same muscles that you use to whisper. We'll turn this into an ASMR video. Okay, so now that we've got the feeling for it, we're going to close the lips. So now we're just breathing through the nose, but we're still closing down the glottis just one notch. We don't have to squeeze hard, just a little movement in that direction is all we need. Now we can feel our breath and we can hear it in our ear because we're still closing the throat. So take a few breaths. So again, I'll remind you of this technique towards the end of class, but if you choose to breathe this way as we move through the asana, through the physical part of class, it will definitely help you to center up and to slow down. And if you're interested, when you're practicing outside of this class, I time most poses. When we get to a point and we're still, I time them by 5 breaths, and that's full breath. So that's 5 inhales and 5 exhales. A breath is an inhale and exhale. So if you're wondering how we time it, I'm usually timing about that. But if you come to one of these poses and it feels really good and you want to stay there, by all means, hang out. Big picture, what we're trying to do is give our body pleasure and fun and enjoyment. So when you find something that feels good, by all means, stay there. And then you can catch up with what I'm talking about or any other teacher is talking about as soon as you've had enough of it. Okay? Now, as you can probably already tell, most of these classes are going to be geared towards stress relief and reduction of anxiety. There are infinite ways of doing yoga. Some are faster and take a lot of effort and burn calories. This is not that kind of yoga. This is slower paced, that sometimes it's called Yin Yoga or restorative yoga. And the point, again, is to release anxiety, to find stillness and peace in ourselves. So the first thing we're going to do is some forward folds. In yoga, these are known as cooling positions, cooling postures. And it's not the temperature that changes, it's the tone of the nervous system. When you do these cooling postures, your heart rate will lower, your blood pressure will lower. And just like you would think, when those things happen, our thoughts come smoother and cooler. Our emotions, our moods are calmer and steadier. So the first one we'll work with is a seated forward fold. Okay, so we're going to take the left leg and extend it. So left leg is straight. I'm going to cross over with my right leg. So right knee is bent, cross it over the left. Okay, just make your top leg comfortable. We want the left leg to stay straight. That's where the work will happen here. So right leg is comfortable. We're going to take the hands and arms up and make the back long. Reach up and then make your position change from your hips. We're going to relax our neck and shoulders last. So we want to keep the upper body straight and fold forward from the hips, as opposed to starting and folding down with the upper body, the neck and the shoulders. We want it to come from the hips. Okay, so we're getting taller, reaching through the crown of the head, folding forward. When we find that wonderful stretching feeling in the back of the left leg, we're just going to relax into it. Let the upper body gently release forward. Okay, before we change our position, plan on keeping the eyes closed. So we're navigating our body by how it feels, the muscular feedback, how we move based on what it feels like as opposed to what we see, what it looks like. Okay, so we're going to gently lift ourselves back up, right? And then we'll switch legs. So the right leg goes out straight, left knee crosses over. Okay, we're going to take the hands and arms up, get tall again, and then fold forward, leading with the heart, growing through the top of the head, lengthening through the top of the head. This is my cat, Scoop Dunk. Welcome. Okay, nice and slow. Let's lift ourselves back up, right? And then both legs will be straight and we'll bring the legs out wide. So this is going to move the stretch to the muscles inside the legs, whereas when the legs are straight forward, it's the muscles at the bottom, at the back of the legs. Okay, so just prepare here. It's an intense feeling when these muscles lengthen or stretch. So just prepare for it. We're going to take the hands and arms to the floor in front of us and start to lead forward. Again, the upper body stays tall on our approach, and then we relax once we found the suitable stretch for the inside of the legs. Okay, good. Let's come back upright. And then we'll meet up in tabletop position, which is hands and knees. So this pose is called cat-cow, and we're moving the spine depending on where our breath is, where in the cycle of the breath we are. Okay? So the exhale is going to arch up. As we breathe out, we're arching the back up and pointing our head down, tilting down with the tailbone. And then on the inhale, we allow the upper body to sink, tilt the tailbone up, and lift the crown of the head. Inhale, cups, and the exhale, arcs. Okay? Now we'll make the back flat and bring the knees and the feet together. Child's pose is next, and we're going to sit down towards our heels. The first step is to allow the hips and the back and the legs to release and compress, and then we're going to lower forward with our hands and arms. You can either make a pillow with your hands and arms like so, or bring your head all the way to the floor. This is a very powerful position because we can learn how to be active about our relaxation. To hold this pose, once we gently lower ourselves to the floor, to hold this pose takes zero muscular effort. We don't have to do anything once we get here, so we can be very specific, very conscientious about switching off every muscle. Any muscle that we can feel that is tightened or is switched on, allow it to release and lengthen. Okay, let's bring the hands right up under our shoulders and we'll lift back up. Okay? What we're going to do now is to work with making changes in the body so that we work with gravity, using our body and the shape of our body and the angles that our body makes to lift us and to move us efficiently with no extra effort. Because when we're using muscles that we don't need, we're using energy that could be diverted to a more positive task, and it also makes us anxious. Leftover muscles that are tight that don't have work to expend themselves upon leads to agitation. And we're trying to release muscular tension any way we can. Okay, we're going to take the left foot forward just inside the left hand. And then flip the back toes, tuck under with the right toes. And now we're going to straighten the right knee, lift the right knee. Now the two important places here are to shift the center of the body, the sternum right over the left foot. So sternum is just over the left foot, and then get strong in the back foot. Anchor yourself by pressing back into the back foot, and then we just curl up the upper body. Let the hips stay facing forward. Okay, we'll bring the hands back down and lower the back knee and switch sides. Right foot comes forward just inside the right hand. We're going to shift the upper body so it's directly over the right foot, flip the back toes, and pick up the back knee. Okay, same thing. We shift our weight back into the left foot, left to the right over the right foot, and then our hips point forward, and now we can just curl up with the upper body. Okay, let's lower back down. And then we'll sit in easy pose at first, meaning just legs crossed or kneeling if that is more comfortable. Okay, and we'll talk for just a moment on sitting, the most efficient way to sit so that it is tolerable and it feels good and energetic, but it's relaxing, it's efficient, and we're not overworking it. So the first thing I'd like for us to do is to bring the attention to the navel, to the belly button, and release all the muscles from the ribs down to the hips. Allow the belly to be soft and relaxed. Imagine a line that goes from the navel through to the lower back, to here, and activate that by pressing forward. We don't have to hold ourselves up with these muscles, but when we press forward, we're moving the big lower vertebra up under our center of gravity so that the upper body can relax. We can release across the collarbones, the neck, the throat, the jaw muscles, because our lower back is in place to support us. Let's breathe here for just a moment. The only activation being pushing forward gently with the lower back. Okay, now the difference is that we're going to take both legs out straight. So this is staff pose or stick pose, but we're going to set it up or have the same checklist that we did just a moment ago. Bring your attention to the navel and let the abdominal muscles be soft. Continue a line from the navel through to the lower back and press forward. And then systematically, intentionally release the muscles of the upper body, the neck, the shoulders, the abdomen, and the chest. Let's breathe here for a moment, noticing where you get feedback, noticing where you get tired or it begins to ache, or just notice where the body is reacting. Okay, let's take both hands right behind the hips here. And then we're going to lock the knees, press down with the heels, and just lift the hips. So we don't have to press hard. Look up at the ceiling, keep breathing. Okay, we'll lower the hips. Reach up, again, make the back long, and then fold forward. Lengthening as we come forward, and then once we feel the stretch in the back of the legs, our goal is to rest, to settle forward, and relax with the upper body. Okay, good. Let's come back upright. And then we're going to lie back on our backs. First, just notice where we're making contact with the floor. Bring your attention down to your heels and feel where the heels touch the ground. And then notice the back of the hips. Feel where the back of the hips meet the floor. And notice the back of the shoulders and the center of the back. Notice where you're making contact with the ground. And then notice the slight pressure where the floor is supporting our head. Okay, now we're going to bend both knees and bring them up towards our chest. Make a loop with the hands and knees, and then just relax. Okay, now we're going to hold the knees in using the leg and hip muscles, but sit up with the upper body, and we're going to grab the toes or grab the fronts of the feet. If you can't reach the feet, grab the shins. That'll be just fine. Once we have our grip on the feet, relax back. Bring your head and shoulders back to the floor. Okay, now we're going to slowly straighten the knees. The knees never have to come all the way straight. What we want is to find a position where we get a pretty intense stretch in the back of the leg, but not overpowering. Find the place where it is intense but tolerable and relax. Breathe here. Okay, let's bend the knees. And we're going to release the feet to bring the feet flat to the floor, knees pointed up. Okay, now we're going to stretch the hip flexors outside the hips here. So take your right knee and step it over the left. And then we're going to gently lower the knees to the right so that the right knee becomes a weight, weighing down on the outside of the left knee. And hopefully we feel the stretch here in the left hip and up into the left abdomen. Settle, relax into it. Okay, back to center. And then we'll switch the knees to the other side. So left knee crosses over the right. We're going to slowly lower the knees to the left so that the left knee weighs on the outside of the right leg. And release, let it happen. Okay, back to center. And then we're going to leave the knees crossed, but bring both knees in towards the chest. And then put some space between the feet. Send the feet out wide. And we're going to sit up strong with the upper body, the head and the shoulders, and grab the feet. So it's left hand to the right foot, right hand to the left foot. And then we're just going to lie back, allowing the legs and the knees and the feet to move where they will. Okay, let's release the feet, and then we'll cross the knees the other way. So right knee is back on top of the left. We'll bring both knees in. Spread the feet apart. Grab the feet again. Once we have our grip, just lie back. Head and shoulders lie down. Let the legs and hips go where they need to go. Okay, good. Now, we'll release the feet and bring the legs out straight again. Okay, so this is progressive muscle relaxation. And what happens here is that we take one group of muscles at a time, one limb at a time, or one part of the body at a time. Flex it so that we use all the muscles. All the muscles are tightened and tensed. We hold it there, and then when you hear me say release or relax, we're trying to switch it off like a light switch. Let it go from total tightness to total relaxation as quickly as possible. Okay, so we'll start with the left leg. Left knee is straight, and we're going to bring the left leg up just off the floor, just a couple of inches, hovering right above the floor. Okay, now pull in with your left toes, push out with your left heel, and then flex all the way up to your hip. The calves, the knee, the thighs, the glutes, everything in the left side of the lower body is flexing. And now get it maximum effort. Tighten it up as hard as you can. 1, 2, 3, and drop. Okay, same idea for the right leg. Lift the right leg, push out with the heel, pull in with the toes, and then flex all the way up to the hips. Calves, knee, quads, tighten. All right, maximum effort. Clench hard. 1, 2, 3, and drop. Okay, we'll take it to the left arm now. So make a fist with the left hand and bring the left arm up just off the floor. Clench the fist hard, flex the forearms, the muscles through the elbow, the biceps. Use the muscles outside the shoulder to hug in towards the center of the body. Activate everything in the left arm. And now, maximum effort. Tighten as hard as you can. 1, 2, 3, and drop. Okay, right arm lifts. We'll make a fist with the right hand and fire up the muscles all the way to the right shoulder. Flex everything in the right arm as hard as possible. And now even harder. 1, 2, 3, and drop. Okay, our last stop for this practice is the center of the body, the abdominal and the pelvic muscles. Okay, so first we're going to press down with the lower back, press down into the floor. Then pretend like you've invited someone to punch you in the belly, and you make a hard wall of the abdomen. Flex the belly like you're expecting a punch. Lower back is pressing down. Now, imagine that you're about to have a restroom emergency, a number 1 and number 2 restroom emergency, and pull in, clench in with the pelvic and the hip muscles. Back pushes down. Abdomen is kept hard. We're squeezing up and in with the pelvic floor. Now, as hard as you can. 1, 2, 3, and release. Okay, we're going to bring the legs together and the arms down by our sides, and then roll up on top of the arms. Palms are down, and we'll be sitting on the back of the hands. Once you get your hands in place, walk your elbows in toward one another. Notice how that's lifting the chest. This is the fish pose, and that's our goal here, is to stretch across the front of the chest. Once the elbows are pulling towards one another, press down into the floor. Push down with the elbows, and then we're going to pick our heads up to look down at the feet, and now shift your weight up to the elbows. So the elbows are supporting the upper body here. Then here is where we're active. The solar plexus just south of the sternum. We're going to lift, arch up, and then relax back with the head and shoulders. Nice, controlled, slow breathing, lifting up the center of the chest or the lower chest the whole time we're here. Okay, to move out of the pose, we're going to pick our head up to look down at the toes, and then use a push with your forearms and your hands to lift the upper body up. And then we'll sit in easy pose again. So either kneeling or legs crossed. Okay, just a quick refresher before we sit for 5 minutes. We'll remember how to do our Darth Vader breath or our Ujjayi breath. So it's a closure here in the lower throat, in the glottis. So with our mouth open, it sounds like this. Once we have the hang of it, we'll close the lips. So now we're breathing through the nose, but we still have that slight closure low in the throat. So take a few breaths through the nose, listening and feeling the breath here in the throat. So not only physiologically does this breath technique slow our breath down and make the inhale and the exhale even, it also gives us 2 new handles through which to pay attention to the breath. Now, with every inhale and exhale, we can feel the breath as it passes through the throat, and we can hear it inside our heads. We can hear that wheeze sound that the air makes as it passes through the throat. So that will be our focus. For the next 5 minutes, we'll have our eyes closed. Our attention will be on the breath as it makes those sounds and feelings in the throat. Now, as with every form of meditation, the real practice is returning to it. Our attention will go away a lot, even in just 5 minutes. Our attention goes to the past and to the future and to dinner and to our pets. All the things that our mind goes to when it's sort of in neutral. So Be easy on yourself. That's not a mistake. When your attention goes away from your chosen focus, it's just an opportunity. Take a moment and be clear about what it is that your mind has moved to, and then gently shepherd it back to the feeling of the breath moving at the throat. As many times as our attention goes away, one more time we bring it back. We'll take 5 minutes here. Let's start to make small movements, at first just with the fingers and the toes. The slower that we can go and the more graceful we can be as we switch states from stillness and inward pointing to movement and outward pointing, the more we make that transition smooth, the more we can hold on to the peace and this valuable chill that we have been working on over the past few minutes. So when you're ready, let's let the eyelids float open again. And hopefully, if all the technical issues are solved, this video will be recorded and you can look back at it through my page, and I will plan on being here same time next week. Thank you so much for practicing with me tonight. The best in me bows to the best in you. Namaste.